Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Not with me. I don't care about me. Be honest with yourself. How many Mondays do you think you have left? Not in your whole life. I mean the good ones. The ones where you wake up and your knees work and your mind is sharp and you've got the energy to actually do the thing you said you were going to do. The Mondays where you're not just sitting in the chair watching somebody else live on a screen. Because here's what nobody sits down and calculates. And I wish somebody had grabbed me by the collar and made me do this math. If you retire at 65 and you're lucky enough to live to 85, that's 1,000 weeks. Sounds like a lot, right? It's not. Take away the weeks you're going to spend recovering from that knee replacement. Take away the weeks where the weather keeps you inside. Take away the weeks you're going to lose to doctor's appointments and pharmacy lines and that low-grade fatigue that starts creeping in around 73, 74. You've got maybe 500 weeks of real full-power living. 500. You could count them on, well, you can't count them on anything. But you feel how small that number is, don't you? I'm going to tell you how to not waste them. And I'm not going to give you some list I read in a magazine. I'm going to tell you what I've seen, what I've lived, what I got right, what I got wrong, and what I'd break a wall to go back and fix if I could. I had a customer, this was back in Bay Ridge, the shoe shop, a man named Arthur Phelps, retired from the MTA in 1987, drove the B train for 31 years. 31 years underground, in the dark. And the first thing he told me when he came in to get his good shoes resold was, "Sal, I'm finally going to see the sun." He had a whole plan. He was going to drive across the country with his wife Dolores. They had a map on their kitchen wall with thumbtacks, every place they were going to stop. I saw it once when I delivered shoes to their apartment. Red thumbtacks from Brooklyn to San Francisco. You know what Arthur did instead? He sat in his recliner. He watched the news. He watched it all day. Every channel, flipping between them like something important was about to happen that he couldn't miss. And I'd see him in the shop every few months, and I'd say, "Arthur, how's the trip coming?" And he'd wave his hand and say, "We'll go in the spring." Then spring would come and he'd say, "Maybe fall, when it's cooler." Then fall, then next year. Then Dolores got sick. Then Dolores was gone. Arthur came into the shop maybe 2 years after she died, and he sat in the chair, the one by the window where the light comes in, and he said to me, "Sal, I still have the map." I think about that every single week. And if you're sitting on your own version of that map right now, wherever it is, whatever's on it. Go. Not in the spring, not when the market recovers, not when you feel ready. You will never feel ready. Readiness is a lie your fear tells you so you'll stay in the chair. Here's what I want you to do, and I'm serious. Do this today. Take out a piece of paper. Write down the 3 things you said you were going to do when you retired. The things you told yourself while you were still working. The dreams that kept you going through the last 5, 10 years of your career. Now look at that list. How many of them have you started? If the answer is none, you need to understand something. The chair is winning. Now let me tell you about energy, because this is something I wish someone had explained to me earlier. When I was younger, I thought retirement was about time. You work your whole life trading time for money, and then you retire, and suddenly you've got all this time and you don't know what to do with it. But that's the wrong way to think about it. Retirement isn't about time, it's about energy. I'll give you an example. After I closed the shop, this was 2003, I was finally done. Gloria practically had to pry the keys out of my hand. I had all the time in the world. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nothing but time. But some days, I had energy for maybe 4 hours. Real energy. The kind where your brain is working and your body cooperates and you actually want to be alive. The rest was maintenance, eating, resting, the slow shuffle to the bathroom and back. So what I learned, and this took me longer than it should have, is that you have to protect those 4 hours, or 6 hours, or 8 hours if you're lucky. Whatever your window is, that's your real life. That's the part that counts. And if you're spending it watching cable news or scrolling through your phone or, God forgive me for saying this, sitting around complaining about how things used to be better, you're burning your best fuel on nothing. Gloria used to say, "Sal, you've got the energy of a man half your age in the morning and the energy of a man twice your age by dinner." She was right, and she was smart about it too. She made sure our mornings meant something. We'd walk to the park, or she'd drag me to some farmer's market, or we'd cook something together, something ambitious, something that took all morning. She understood that the good hours are sacred. You don't waste sacred things. So here's my advice, and it's practical. Figure out when your best hours are. For most people, it's the morning. And then guard those hours like they're money in a safe. Don't give them to the television. Don't give them to errands you could do in the afternoon. Use them for the things that make you feel like you. The walk, the garden, the grandkids, the project, the trip to the museum you've been meaning to take for 6 months. Save the light stuff, the reading, the TV, the sitting, for when your battery is low anyway. I want to talk about something uncomfortable. Let me just come out and say it because I don't have time to be polite about it. Some of you are hoarding money and it's ruining your retirement. Now listen, I'm Italian. I grew up in a house where my father counted pennies, literally counted them. He had a jar on the kitchen counter, and every night, he'd empty his pockets and count. And I inherited that. I was careful with money my whole life. I had to be. The shop didn't make me rich. But there's a difference between being careful and being afraid. And some of you have crossed that line, and you don't even know it. I had a friend, Tommy Barlow, lived on 74th Street, who retired with more money than he'd ever had. His whole life he was a plumber. Good plumber, honest man. Retired with, I don't know, maybe $350,000 saved up plus Social Security. And you know what Tommy did? He ate canned soup every day. He kept the heat at 60 in the winter. He wouldn't take his grandchildren to the diner because, and I remember him saying this exactly, you know what they charge for pancakes now? Tommy was so afraid of running out of money that he forgot what the money was for. Money isn't a score. It's not a trophy you take to the grave. Money is a tool, and the tool is supposed to build something. Experiences, memories, comfort, generosity. If the tool is just sitting in the drawer, what good is it? Now, I'm not saying be reckless. Don't go buy a boat. Don't drain your account. What I'm saying is this: sit down with whoever handles your money, or sit down with yourself if that's you, and figure out what you can actually spend monthly without panic, because I promised you that trip to see your sister in Phoenix, that dinner at the nice restaurant with your wife, those concert tickets for you and your grandkid, those are going to matter infinitely more than the number on a statement you'll never spend. The deathbed test, it's simple. When you're lying there, and we're all going to be lying there, are you going to say, thank God I kept $50,000 extra in savings? Or are you going to say, remember that week we spent in Maine? I know the answer. You do too. Now, here's something I got wrong for a long time, and I'm going to save you the trouble of learning it the slow way like I did. When I first retired, when Gloria finally made me retire, I thought freedom meant I could finally relax. No alarm clock, no customers, no schedule, just open space. And for about 3 weeks, that was beautiful. And then it was terrifying, because open space, when you don't fill it with something that matters, becomes emptiness. And emptiness becomes depression. I've seen it happen to man after man after man. They work for 40 years, they retire, they sit down, and within 2 years, they're ghosts. My friend Dominic Fabrizio, a bricklayer, built half the storefronts on Fifth Avenue. He retired on a Friday, and by Monday, he didn't know what to do with his hands. And Dominic was a man who always knew what to do with his hands. Within 6 months, his wife told me at the butcher shop that he barely got out of bed before noon. Big, strong man, hands like catcher's mitts, just lying there, staring at the ceiling. You need a reason to get up. I don't care what it is, but you need one. For me, it was still the leather. Even after I closed the shop, I kept a bench in the basement. Just a small setup, some tools, some scraps, a good light, and I'd go down there and make things. Nobody was paying me. Nobody needed them, but my hands needed to move. I'd make a belt, a wallet, little coin purses I'd give to the neighbors' kids. Gloria would come down and say, Sal, are you going to come upstairs, or should I just bring your dinner to the basement? And I'd say, 5 more minutes. And she knew that meant an hour. Work isn't just about a paycheck. Work is about knowing you can still make something, that you still matter. Find the thing that makes you feel that way and do it every day, even if nobody's watching, especially if nobody's watching, because you're not doing it for them. You're doing it so you remember who you are. So here's your assignment. And don't roll your eyes at me. I'm older than your grandparents. Show some respect. Find one thing you can do with your hands or your mind or your heart that makes time disappear when you're doing it. Not TV, not scrolling. Something where you look up and an hour has gone by and you didn't notice. That's your anchor. That's what's going to keep you from turning into a ghost. I want to talk about relationships in retirement, and I want to be specific because I think people get this wrong. When you're working, your social life is built into the day. You've got coworkers, you've got clients, you've got the person at the deli who knows your order, you've got a structure, and then you retire and that structure evaporates overnight, and suddenly it's just you and your spouse staring at each other across the kitchen table at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, and one of you is thinking, were we always this quiet? Gloria and I were good. We were really good. But even we had to figure out how to be together all day without driving each other crazy. She had her Tuesday group. Ladies from the church, they'd go to lunch and then shopping, and she'd come home with some candle that smelled like a Christmas tree even though it was July. I had my morning walk, my bench time, my coffee at Rocco's on 3rd Avenue where I'd sit with whoever was there and argue about baseball. You need both. You need time together and time apart. And you need people outside your marriage or your household, whatever your situation is, who make you think about something other than your own life. There was a man I used to see at Rocco's. His name was Dennis Whitfield, retired teacher, taught 8th grade science at a middle school in Sunset Park for 20-something years. Dennis and I had nothing in common on paper. He was a black man from Bed-Stuy. I was an Italian from Bensonhurst. He was educated. I fixed shoes. He could tell you about the periodic table. I could tell you about the difference between calfskin and goatskin. But we sat together 3 mornings a week for 11 years. And those conversations about the neighborhood, about politics, about whether the Mets would ever win again, about his grandkids and my grandkids. Those conversations kept me connected to the world, to other people's lives, to the idea that there was more going on than just my own story. Don't underestimate that. The casual friendships, the person you see at the hardware store, the neighbor you wave at, the acquaintance from the gym or the church or the library. Those connections feel small, but they're holding up the walls of your world. And when you lose them, because you stopped going out, because you got comfortable, because your world got smaller and smaller, the walls start caving in. So join the thing, take the class, go to the community center, show up to the stupid potluck even though you'd rather stay home, especially because you'd rather stay home, because comfort is not the same thing as happiness. Comfort is a warm blanket. Happiness is going out in the cold and finding out you're still alive. I'm going to tell you something that might sound strange coming from someone my age. I've had more years behind me than any person should probably get. And the thing that surprises me, that still surprises me even now, is how fast it goes. Not life, that's the cliche. I mean retirement specifically. You think you've got 20 years. And maybe you do on the calendar. But the felt experience of those years, the weight of them, the richness, that depends entirely on what you put in them. If every day is the same chair, same show, same route, same conversation, the years collapse. They fold into each other like a deck of cards. You look back and you can't tell 2019 from 2021 from 2023. It's all one long Tuesday. But if you're doing new things, and they don't have to be big, they just have to be new, every month feels distinct. It has its own color, its own taste. That's the month I tried watercolors. That's the month I went to the botanical garden for the first time. That's the month my granddaughter taught me how to use that video thing on the phone, and I called my nephew in Naples and saw his face for the first time in 6 years. Newness is how you slow time down, and slowing time down is how you make retirement feel long instead of short. Here's what I want you to try. Every month, do one genuinely new thing, not a new TV show, something that uses a different part of your brain or your body, a cooking class, a walk in a neighborhood you've never been to, a conversation with someone you wouldn't normally talk to, a museum, a fishing trip, something that when you're lying in bed that night you think, I didn't expect today to go like that. That feeling, that surprise, that's what makes a month real. That's what makes it stick to your memory instead of sliding off like water. Let me tell you something about documenting your life, because this is one I stumbled into by accident, and I'm glad I did. In 2005, Gloria gave me a leather journal for Christmas. Beautiful thing. She had it made by a guy in Manhattan, soft brown cover, cream pages. And she said, Sal, write down your days. I said, who wants to read about an old man eating oatmeal? She said, you will. In 10 years, you will. She was right. She was always right about the things that mattered. I didn't write every day. I'm not that disciplined. But I wrote most days, just a few lines. What I did, who I saw, what I ate, if it was good, something that made me laugh, something that made me think. And now, when I go back and read those pages, and I do sometimes on the quiet evenings, it's like time travel. Not the big memories. I remember the big ones anyway. It's the small ones, the ones that would have vanished completely if I hadn't written them down. Like this one from April 14th, 2009. Walk to Owl's Head Park, cherry blossoms open. Dennis told me his granddaughter got into Columbia, bought a cannoli at Villa Bait, sat on the bench. Good day. That's it, 16 words. But when I read them, I'm there. I can smell the blossoms. I can see Dennis's face, the way he grinned when he was proud. I can taste that cannoli. It's all there, frozen in 16 words. You don't need to write a novel. You don't even need full sentences. Just write something. 3 wins from the day, 3 things that happened, 3 things you're grateful for. Do it before bed. It takes 2 minutes, and in 5 years you'll have a record of a life that was lived, not just survived. And that record, that proof, it matters more than you think on the days when you feel like you haven't done anything with your time. Here's the other thing about writing things down. It makes you pay attention. When you know you're going to write about your day, you start looking for the parts worth writing about. You notice the bird on the fire escape. You listen harder to what your daughter is telling you on the phone. You taste your food instead of just eating it. The journal doesn't just record your life. It makes your life richer because you're finally watching it happen. And while I'm at it, and this connects to the journal thing, do a check-in with yourself every month. Sit down, maybe with a cup of coffee, and ask yourself some honest questions. What brought me joy this month? What drained me? Am I spending my good hours on things that matter or things that don't? Is there something I've been avoiding that I need to face? I started doing this around 2010, and it changed everything. Because without those check-ins, the months blur together. You wake up in December, and you can't remember what happened in March. But when you stop once a month and actually take stock, really look at how you're spending this life you've been given, you catch the problems early. You notice when you're slipping into a rut. You notice when a relationship needs attention. You notice when you've been saying next month for 6 months in a row. Course corrections. That's what they are. Small adjustments that prevent big regrets. A ship that's off by 1 degree doesn't notice for a while, but give it enough ocean and it ends up in the wrong country entirely. Same with retirement. Same with life. I'm going to get personal for a second because I think it matters. I've buried more people than I can count on my fingers and toes. My mother, my first wife, my sister Rosa, Gloria, friends, neighbors, customers, people I love so much it still aches in my chest when I think about them. And you'd think, with all that loss, a man would get bitter, would close up, would decide the whole thing. The loving, the connecting, the opening yourself up to someone who's eventually going to leave. You'd think he'd decide it wasn't worth it. I decided the opposite, every single time. Not because I'm brave, I'm not. I'm a cobbler from Brooklyn who's been scared of something or other his entire life. But I learned, and it took me decades, it took loss after loss after loss, that the pain of loving and losing is better than the pain of never having loved at all. I know that sounds like something on a greeting card, but when you've actually lived it, when you've held someone's hand as it went cold and then chose to hold someone else's hand years later knowing the same thing would happen, it's not a greeting card anymore. It's the bravest thing a person can do. So if you're in retirement and you've lost someone and you've closed yourself off, if you've decided that the risk is too high and the walls are safer, I understand. I do. I was there. For almost 20 years, I was right where you are. But the walls don't protect you. They just make sure you're alone when the end comes. Let someone in. Even if it's terrifying, even if it's just a friend, a new connection, a neighbor you invite over for coffee, open one window. You don't have to throw the doors wide open. Just crack one window and let the air in. I'm 106. You can do the math if you want. That's a lot of Mondays. And I'll be honest with you, most of the people I started this life with are gone. But I'm still here. And I'm still here because every single morning I make a choice. The same choice. I get up, I make my coffee. The same way, same pot, takes 5 minutes. I tie my shoes. I go to the window and I look outside and I decide today is going to mean something. Some days that means a phone call with my daughter. Some days that means finishing a belt I've been working on. Some days it just means sitting on the bench outside the building and watching people walk by and remembering that the world is bigger than my apartment. But it always means something. Because the day you stop deciding that, the day you sit down and say, what's the point? That's the day you retire from living. And that's the one retirement you don't come back from. You've got your 500 weeks, maybe more, maybe less. But you've got them right now, today. So what are you going to do with them? Don't tell me. Tell yourself, and then go do it. I'm Sal. I love you. Now get out of that chair.